Okay, good morning. Let's call the meeting of February 9th, I'm sorry, March 9th to order. First item of business today will be approve the minutes of the regular meeting from February 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting minutes will stand approved as published. Thank you for those, Joan. I didn't really ask. Does everybody hear me on the, there's John. Everybody hear me? John, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? All right, thank you. Very good. Second item is to approve the airport vouchers totaling $13,497.15.
Motion.
Thank you. Got a motion?
Second.
And a second from Tammy. Roll call vote.
Haugen.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Engen.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. Those are approved. Third item is to approve the individual vouchers, Alpha through India, for various things. A lot of it has to do with the SRE building and the completion of that. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Haugen.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Engen.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. All right. Bunch of bills paid there. Good. All right, number 4 is receive the request from the Fargo Air Museum for sponsorship for their event next month? 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
So in your package, you have a request from Ryan Thayer, the Executive Director of the Fargo Air Museum, requesting a $2,500 donation for their event, the spring fundraising event that they are hosting over there. This would be a silver sponsorship. This is traditionally the level that the Airport Authority has participated in the past. While it's CARES eligible, we wouldn't submit it. They don't look favorably on sponsorships, but yet it's very clear that it is eligible, but maybe someday in the CARES process we can recover that. So I would ask your support of this request.
Okay, I've been to this museum function several times. Always a good time. So, can I get a motion for sponsorship for the event?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Haugen.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Engen.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. Number 5, receive the calendar year 2020 passenger facilities charge audit.
So in your package, you have the report from Ide Bailey for calendar year 2021 passenger facility charge. And I guess the page 1 on the bottom, the opinion is that, in our opinion, the airport complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on the PFC program for the year ended December 31, 2020. And it's a cash basis accounting process. Our total PFC revenue in 2020 was $1,069,885. So that's, I guess, receive and file. The report's already been sent to the FAA, and we're good for another year if you have any questions. Ide Bailey's done this audit since we started the PFC program in 1997, and we haven't had a finding yet.
Great. So nothing to do. It's just an update, huh?
Just receive and file.
Okay. Receive and file. Okay. Number 6.
We need a motion to receive and file?
Yeah, oh yeah. I did, sorry.
I move receive and file the audit.
Thank you. And I got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Haugen.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Engen.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. Number 6, receive update regarding the property sale to the Mathurin family.
So we continue to wait on an abstract. I've asked Jessica at the abstract company, can we expedite that? I'm going to talk with her today about that, as well as I'm determined to find airport abstracts because the city only had the one, and there's a lot of property with all the sales of property north, farmland. So I'm wondering if those might be on file with the abstract company. And if yes, do you want to leave them there and we inventory them, or do we want them housed here. So when I follow up today with her regarding the Mathern abstract, I'm gonna just ask if they can do a search to find out if there's other airport abstracts out there, or there, I shouldn't say out there.
When we got, Gary Stewart's files, I know Stacy had gone through them, but we got all of Gary's boxes that were airport related. And there were several letters that he would write to someone at City Hall, like Carol Kraft or other auditors that were there, Frank Farlander and so forth, that I'm now returning the abstract to you for safekeeping. So there was always a record of when it came out for some review and always a record of when it came back. But in recent time, the city is like, well, I don't know where they're at.
And I spoke with Jill Pagel at the city, and she indicated the one that she provided to me was the only one that they had on file. And I went through, there's a list that the city has, and as I read through it, I can't identify other airport property abstracts on that list. So I'm gonna ask the question of Jessica and just see if that might be where they're hiding. Because I think it's important to actually
Yeah.
have your hands on those.
Yep.
I completed the purchase agreement and the quitclaim deed and sent that to Joan and Sean yesterday. I'll send that to the Matherns. Pretty straightforward. We're not dealing with a complex real estate sale. And we can hold off on getting those signed, or the parties could sign pending the abstract being created and updated. And I'll kind of talk to the Matherns about that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I guess I would ask for their benefit, they've been very patient. I would ask that we get it signed so they're in comfort, and then work on getting the abstract perfected.
Subject to the abstract
Yes.
creation and updating.
Yes,
Okay.
that
I
would
can
be my,
absolutely do that.
do I need a motion to do that?
Sure.
I move that we proceed with signing of the agreement and language pertinent to receipt of abstract and conveyance thereafter.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, motion passes. So,
Chair?
Yep.
Your original question was, if they find the abstract, do we want to house it, or do you want them to house it? I personally think that I don't have an opinion on that, but I think if we need to proceed, if they don't have all the abstracts, we probably should go back to the city of Fargo and do another, look for them. I don't know.
She's gone through twice.
The city has?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And I don't know if I sit down, the list is pretty lengthy,
Okay.
but I've gone through it twice, and I just don't see anything, like of the property purchases that were done between Gary, myself, you, north of, their names escape me right now, but
Mhm.
like, I would recognize those names.
The Gills and the Harrises
Yeah.
and
Okay.
we bought a bunch of that property. Marcel, Arnie Larson, Stockman. There's
Is
a
there
whole
even
bunch
some
of-
Martin property up there?
Yep,
Yep.
Tom Martin property we bought.
Wow.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Is there, and for Stacy, is there a way to take any of Gary's documents, receipt of documents, and get a list of those, present those to the city and say, please provide?
And you have copies of those out here?
I've got all of the files for the property purchases.
Yeah, we could create a list.
I think it'd be helpful
Yeah.
for the city, and if we've got
Yeah.
it helps them with a path. And
I think I remember for the Martin property, when we closed with Tom, we went to the title company.
And so title company, abstract company, they're housed together.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
The title company does the title work, so
Yeah.
I'll make that, and Jessica's the president, so she's the top person to go
I
to.
guess, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
John? Or John
Yeah.
Cosgrove, are you there?
Yeah.
How do you think this should be handled?
Well, the city's got files, you just have to figure out where it is, what it is, where they've last been updated, if they have been left with the title companies or wherever.
I think that's worth
Looking
being
at.
done.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we decide we're gonna house it ourselves instead of leaving it at the title company?
Well, I think first we need to find
to
where
find
they
where
are
they are.
and find the location of each, and And if they're not intact or split off or whatever, the process of what needs to be done thereafter, and then we can make a decision. We don't know, and I guess I'd sooner want to know where they are first before we decide a process.
Okay,
I agree.
I concur as well. Okay, any more discussion on that? Okay. Item number 7, receive preliminary calendar year 2020 statement of operations and airport improvement fund activity report.
Okay, the first one that we'll go through is the improvement fund. That's the one page that you had preliminary March 5th of 2021 for period 13. There weren't any changes in the accounts payable, accounts receivable system for this account as of now. January 1, 2020, there was $2,989,812.24 in the account, and this is what's in the city process in our Wells Fargo account. You can see the total revenue to the account was $14,292,457.27. And then the disbursements from the account totaled $14,918,946.19, leaving us a balance in the account of $2,363,323.32. Now, like I said, this is just what's on deposit at Wells Fargo in the sweep account. It does not include the construction improvement investment account that we have at First International Bank. I don't have that account balance from here. And you'll see a note at the bottom that it does not include the interest for funds that are related to this account that are on deposit at First International Bank and Trust. There's a parking lot maintenance and construction account there as well, and I've noted the interest for that. And I'll get you those account balances out. I should have noted those on here for what's at First International Bank and Trust. So that's what we have in the improvement fund. If there is any, because of the audit that's underway now and gathering that information, if there are any transactions that take place in the audit that move some of the expenses back to 2020, or any of the revenues that we get on grants, because we have some retainage payable, sometimes those things trigger an adjustment that will put that revenue back to 2020 and not in the current year. So if there's any of those transactions that will take place, we'll know, but this will be finalized once the audit is completed sometime mid-year. The statement of operations that you have there, I did get an update yesterday because the city had not spread our costs for water and sewer to the accounts, and there's a couple of other accounts payable that were spread. So the document that you have there probably will change by just a little over $30,000 in additional expenses, and we will send that out to you as well. The operational variance that you'll see on the bottom of page 1, now this is without CARES, this is just in a normal year, was $628,925.15. That's the revised number that I have from data that we just received yesterday. $628,925.15 is the operational variance between budgeted expenses and budgeted revenues. Now, we received CARES money, the CARES grant, the $21.6 million that we're drawing down each month for eligible expenses. We received $3,845,098 in CARES funds to go towards operations and maintenance expenses for calendar year 2020. So if we add that in, we'd have an operational variance of $4,474,023.15. So that's a little bit different than the number that you have there because of the extra expenses from period 14 that I've spread. So I don't know if you have any questions on any specific thing. I did create a chart, and I think the chart that you have here doesn't include the 30-some thousand of expenses I spread. But I went back to 2014, so you can see the changes year over year to what revenue and expenses were for each of those expense categories or revenue categories that we follow. You can see, car rental revenue was down to $658,091 in 2020 versus $1.2 million in change in 2019. Parking lot revenue in 2019 was a little over $3.2 million. This year, gross parking lot revenue was $1.5 million. So we net out there something about like 1.3. But now that we have a management contract, we account for all of the revenue, take out the expenses, and I guess you know the rest there. So I don't know if you have any questions on that. The revenue and expenses are pretty straightforward. I'll just open it up for any questions that you have. Like I say, this is through period 14 that we just closed out over the weekend from there. So time to digest that or ask questions or anything else that you have.
Questions from the group?
It's good to see the parking lot filling up again, so it's kind of neat. But the very last page, if you want to just look at the last page, we have the firefighter expenses and also the TSA Law Enforcement Program, the Fargo Police Department that's here. As you'll see that there's no cost to us for those programs. The aircraft rescue and firefighting expenses were $913,575.84 in calendar year 2020. We did apply a little bit of CARES funding to that, but by and large the airlines reimburse us. That includes cargo and passengers, $790,791.90. The bottom part there, TSA Law Enforcement Program, the Fargo Police Department charged us $308,582.64, and we received through the TSA LEO program reimbursement $119,765. The balance in was split between the passenger carriers of $188,817.64. Cost to us was zero. So we zeroed both of those out. Quite a few airports are trying to figure out how we do that, and I said we just told the airlines that when the TSA mandated it, they're paying for it. So.
You lost your audio.
Hello, can you hear us now, John? Hello?
Yep.
So I guess if you have any questions, we can move on if you don't.
No questions? No. Thanks for the update, Sean. Lost my agenda sheet here. There you go. Okay. Mr. Cosgrove, can you hear us now? Thumbs up?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
All right, item 8, authorize purchase of Oshkosh H Series snow removal equipment.
All right, so I'll have Darren assist us with this. So because of the expansion of the cargo apron that'll be finished later this year, we added how many acres of concrete, Jeff? Another 15 acres of concrete. So, and the amount of time that our staff will spend on that cargo apron, basically what I'm envisioning, and I think the airfield staff would concur, it's probably 3 people will be up there through all snow events. Between a combination of front-end loaders with dozers and maybe a blower and so forth, that will need a lot of attention, as well as the air carrier ramp. So we have a lot of ramp areas to do. So in order to provide timely and safe service, we can go out and purchase an additional Oshkosh truck, which is compatible with all of the trucks that we currently have on file. We do this through this Houston-Galveston consortium, and Darren's been working with the Oshkosh reps already to get us penciled in for a delivery of a truck. I think it's what, 330 days out or so, Darren, from time of order, but maybe a little bit less.
They said we'll have it by winter.
Okay, so we want to make sure that we have this unit by winter. So the cost, and it could change a little bit depending on radio systems that we do, but it's $593,136. This is all local funds that we would use to purchase this equipment. And then we would add this unit to a future passenger facility charge application to recover 100% of the cost. I will also ask the state for the eligible 50% of the value of the equipment. However, equipment doesn't have as high a priority as what our cargo apron will have when the state goes through their grant program here in the next couple of months. So we need your authorization today to acquire this truck. Like you say, the radio system could be about another, it's about $5,000 either way. We, I think, might prefer to have a local mid-states wireless install the radios for us. It's kind of been a hassle in the past experience with Oshkosh and their local supplier. It's actually out of Sioux Falls to put that in. So I don't know if you have any questions, but there's another company out there that also is in this public consortium that we purchase fire trucks from and other equipment. It's in Staples, Minnesota. It's called Sourcewell. They're also a public consortium that any political subdivision in the country can go to purchase items. You can buy off the Minnesota state bid, North Dakota state bid. But this one here was the least expensive for what we need.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Sean, is this in compliance with our purchasing policy?
It is because it's publicly bid. This is a public consortium that we've bought off for many, many years, so we'd be in good shape on that. And if we need to amend the purchasing policy to talk about the public bids, and I know the city buys buses off of, you know, Virginia or other things.
Yeah, no, if there's a published list, I'm just curious where this fits in.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're saying that,
Yeah, just because it's from a public consortium, and I think I gave you the backup data that's there. You know, if we need to, it's just through the cooperative purchasing program, I guess.
yeah, you know, you can buy off of a state list or whatever. It doesn't preclude you from going out for bids also. And my experience with the, you know, are the more staple type items that you would buy off a pre-negotiated list. This just seems like a pretty expensive piece of equipment. But
They are. We're gonna have two loaders here, I think, in not too long. We have 2 loaders right now. They're getting up in hours, and we'll probably, for sure, add a 3rd loader, but may replace one of the existing 2 that we have. And those are also listed on these either state bids and/or these 2 public consortiums.
I'm not that, I did read through our purchasing policy. It doesn't seem to address that. So I do think we either need to amend the policy if we aren't going to follow it, or follow it. So
Well,
my concern there is that, you know, over a $500,000 item, that we should be checking, are there comparable or less expensive alternatives, different suppliers that could provide the same piece of equipment.
Oshkosh is Oshkosh, so there's one vendor in this region. It's kind of like Butler Machinery and Ziegler. They have their territories. This one is supported by a company out of Sioux Falls. They're the vendor for this region for Oshkosh.
Yeah, Sean, yeah, most government contracts and bidding situations is to allow for or comparable. And so you can write your specs, but you can't, you have to look at other alternatives there. And that's not to say you have to, you know, pick another alternative, but you have to have the reasons for staying, you know, to those specs.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sean, what the other pieces of equipment similar are what brand?
Well, we have all Oshkosh brooms and plow trucks. Everything that we have is Oshkosh.
And is it partly because maintenance, consistency, mechanics and everything is, you're not learning, well, I shouldn't say learning, but you're not educating the mechanics on a whole new set of tooling? It's consistent with prior equipment?
Operator training, it's all of the above.
Yep.
No, those all can be those all can be included in the bid. That, you know, it has to be interchangeable or whatever you want to do. It's just I get nervous when you call out specific, you know, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, that you know what part of the bidding process is. It's just making sure that, you know, you're staying up with the market and you're realizing if there are different types of equipment that may be less expensive, maybe more expensive, but it's just testing the market as well.
Okay, any more discussion?
Certainly does.
Okay. John, did we answer any of your questions, or did you have anything else you wanted to add?
If you want an amendment to the purchasing
Not
policy,
really.
we can do one.
Okay, any other questions on the floor?
I'm just not comfortable that with our purchasing policy as it's currently stated, as this is presented, that I'm comfortable that we're operating within the purchasing policy at this point.
I think his question was answered well, kind
Yeah, I mean,
of, you know, when we first brought up the consortium.
so you can hear
Well,
him.
I can't recall it right now, but, I mean, we got an attorney's opinion on it.
Okay, John.
For you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think John's question is a good one, but I think it was resolved several years before I was here. And I asked the question too of how do they go about it. That consortium is public, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've given you all the
Yeah.
documentation.
So John, the consortium is public. Oshkosh is the vendor. So we're not going to buy a John Deere piece of equipment when Oshkosh is the vendor, and I guess that becomes the question. Is there another vendor you're aware of? John?
You asking me, Rick?
Yeah, yes.
No, I have no idea. That's why you go out and ask for bids.
That's what these
That's
companies do.
what this whole process has already done.
Oh, no, and I understand buying off an approved list, but our purchasing policy, as I've looked at it, doesn't address that.
Okay, we'll get it revised then.
Okay. I think it's worth noting. We'll address the purchasing policy to include the consortium. That be to your liking, John?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Any other discussion on the floor?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to amend their purchasing criteria to include the public bid lists available to us in multi-state or single-state operations for pieces of equipment specific to operations of the airport.
Okay.
Second.
Very good. John, you want to do this right now?
Absolutely. Let's
Okay.
get this done.
Well, I think, one of the governance items that I'd like to bring up is we should be each meeting reviewing policies and updating them as we go. You certainly can take this action, but I don't think we're really meeting our duties as board members here to amend the policy to make a purchase on the spot. I would think we'd want to have a little more thoughtful discussion of the purchasing policy and all aspects of it. Should the limits, dollar amounts be changed, everything else. But to do it in a reactionary manner like this, I don't think is good governance, and I won't support it, but the board can do what it would like there.
I think, John, and like Rick said beforehand, this was reviewed by our attorney quite a few years ago to be legal, and so I think that was, unless you want to have pull the minutes or something from that meeting.
What I'm trying to move this board towards is a good governance model and a review of policy. I'm not saying this is illegal. I'm just saying, if we have policies, we should follow them. If we don't follow them, we're gonna have issues with audit and compliance and everything.
We've never had
We're talking about
issues.
standing up the airport authority as its own freestanding entity, and I think we need to be very, very cognizant of all the requirements we need to meet. This is a public institution. I know the frustration of having to deal with bids and everything like that, as opposed to private sector decision making. But it is what it is, and
But John,
I think we need to be
we've been
aware of it and deal with it.
We've been dealing with bids for decades, so this is nothing new. I mean, we're all aware of that, and we've all been in government, or most of us have been in government entities. I think, possibly after this vote, maybe you want to bring up to have a further small group or a subcommittee to look at the purchasing, and you can offer to be involved with that. Because that's ideally, I think what I'm hearing you say, you think as well as it is good governance to look at policies if they haven't been looked at in a while. And so maybe after this vote, because there is a vote on the floor, then you want to recommend to the chairman to have a look, a deeper dive into this whole purchasing policy.
All right, this is what I'd like to do. Hold on a second, John.
Yeah.
Hold on, John. This is what I'd like to do, just to kind of keep us on topic here. I agree with John that we do need to amend our purchasing policy. They haven't been updated since 2010. and the numbers are a little low as to what can be approved by Sean and so forth. So I would like to address that at a different time. So thank you for your motion, but I'm going to not call a vote for your motion at this time, and we'll table that for our next meeting. How about that? But for this meeting, I would like to get this piece of equipment authorized, okay? And then we'll address the purchasing policy and how we're gonna make changes at our next meeting. Does that sound all right? That's what I'd like to do. So for item number 8, I would like to get a motion and a second and a roll call vote to see if we can buy this snow removal piece of equipment. Okay?
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and I have 2 seconds. Very good. Roll call vote, please.
Hogan.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
No,
Hingham.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. Okay. Thank you for your discussion and
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I will withdraw that prior motion until a later time.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I would like to address all of that stuff at our next meeting. Okay, because I think it needs to be, John has a very good point, and I think that we need to update our purchasing policies and get them in line with current day values and how we do things. Okay? Okay, great. Can we make sure we put that on the meeting agenda next time? Very good. Now, item number 9 is airport construction and security update.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Would you like, say, John or somebody to do some, like your board norms, be prepared for the meeting? I mean, I would, if there was some small group that would meet to come up with some ideas before
Sure.
our next meeting, I mean, that might be a good move. I know we've done, in the past, we've done smaller groups to 2 people and to discuss this with staff on many other issues. So, and that seems to work out, so we don't have to take as much time during this meeting.
Excellent idea. Okay. Yes, we'll grab that before we adjourn the meeting. Okay. So number 9, airport construction security update.
Jerry, do you have an update? Jerry Stroh?
Hi Terry, we can't hear you. I saw you unmuted yourself, but we can't hear anything. Terry, you're muted again.
No, you're unmuted. Terry, are you there?
Still can't hear you.
Well, Darren, you've been over at the snow removal building.
Terry, we can't hear you. We'll probably defer to somebody else here. So.
So what, if you come up here so they can hear you.
Well, Terry knows more than I do, I guess. I think all the concrete's been poured, and the alternate, they're starting to paint the alternate, in the existing SRE, or the new, SRE building. I would say it's actually about 95% complete. It's over the last Thursday, and yeah, there's kind of just finishing the small stuff now, the break room and the restrooms and so on. The mechanic side of it, I know Terry probably knows more about that system. I would say really by the end of the month, the existing, or the new SRE building will be kind of wrapped up, and then
That's great.
this is a few more weeks on the alternate maintenance rate and so on. And I'm not sure about the odds and ends left. I know there's a few things in the existing SRE building with the offices and the break rooms that's going to be done, but I don't know the schedule on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Darren? Very good. Jeff, what do you got for us? Mr. Klein?
I don't have anything on the cargo apron. I know Northern Improvement was gonna go out there today just to assess the site to see how the drainage is. I think they anticipate getting in there fairly early if, conditions allow in the spring, so.
Is there anything left to drain? It's all melted, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Till
So
tomorrow.
hopefully they can get a good start and jump start.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And what do you, if everything's going, when do you guys look at starting your paving and all that?
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that. We'll have another construction meeting with Northern right out of the gate, and we can try to zero in on the time.
Okay.
When we have that meeting, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't say exactly.
Okay, thank you. Anything, any questions for Mr. Klein?
I see cement trucks rolling on the north side quite often, and so apparently they're still going. Will they have a moratorium when spring thaw hits of heavy trucks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely they will, and that's the key thing is, when exactly the frost comes out of the ground, so that'll kind of drive a lot of the construction for the year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And one more thing for Terry, I went flying this weekend and I saw that Amazon building has a roof on it
I know.
completely. So the race is on, Terry. Can't have the Amazon building beach chairs here. So. All right, anything else? So item 9 is complete. Due outs for the purchasing policy. John, I would like it if you could include yourself on the purchasing policy subcommittee, and who wants to pair up and do some work with that and review the purchasing policy and how you'd like it to be changed. Anyone?
Well, traditionally, I've seen policies reviewed by the board as a whole.
Sure.
That it's just a matter of governance, and part of each meeting is to review and update a policy. So you certainly can have subcommittees, but I think that's an important function to the board as a whole. Happy to do it, but same discussion is going to have to then take place with the board as a whole. We aren't talking, and the reason you do one at each meeting is so that you don't have a big build-up and backlog to have to go through a bunch of policies.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? What I would like to see is that you go through the purchasing policy and raise your objections to it. So I want you to come prepared with the disagreements that you have with the policy or any changes that you would like to see. That's what I would like you to come to the next meeting with. So, Sean, can you email the purchasing policy to each of the board members, please? And then we'll all go through it, and then we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
And I can do
Thank you.
some work on the legal side of it.
Good.
Okay.
In conjunction with Sean.
Very good.
And my concern, is twofold. We need to update policies on a regular basis, but then we need to adhere to them. And so that's more of a governance function to the board. But if we are gonna waive the policies, let's just be upfront and waive the policies and make an exception. Go ahead. We have the policies, it should be followed.
No, I agree, and I definitely want to adhere to the policy. It just, I know it hasn't been reviewed since June of 2010, so it is.
It's been reviewed, it just hasn't been updated.
It just hasn't been
There was no need to update it, but
Sure.
it can be updated. I mean, the thresholds on the bottom for service is 15,000. I mean, the city went up to 25 or significantly different. So I'll gather some more information. Our thresholds are really low to just modernize it, but there aren't
Yeah.
going to be any significant changes to what's there. This board has always looked at it. It's just never felt a need to update it. So, but if you feel there's a need now, we will certainly do that, and I do concur that the bottom thresholds need to be updated significantly.
Agreed.
The upper thresholds are pretty much set by the federal guidelines that we're under as far as formal advertising. That's because of federal grants, they're pretty well set by that, and that's what we would follow as the federal side of that.
Federal side.
It's the stuff in between.
Do you want to stay closer to the city side as well, or the city values?
I think we do, possibly. I'll just have to look at what they are. And Jeff, what is on the federal side? Anything over, is it 200
That's 200,000 for public.
for formal bidding? So, and there's been things where we knew that going into it. For instance, we just recently did the North GA and cargo apron, or the North GA and cargo area street lighting thing. That technically would fall, we believe, on the estimate where we could just do informal bids. But since it's so close, we decided to do formal bids. Okay, so we're exceeding what the policy would require. So we've been very,
And
very
Sean,
diligent in that.
that's always how your purchase, your policies typically set the minimum required.
Correct.
And so there's nothing preventing you from doing more.
That's correct. And that's what we've,
In a public entity like we are, the more open and public bids, I think the better we all are.
Okay, agreed. Okay, so let's prepare that for the next meeting. We do have a bit of business that we have to do in executive session.
one thing I'd like to mention before you do that is,
Okay.
as you're aware, Mark Sixel, our longtime air service consultant, unexpectedly passed away. He did a lot of work for this community and all of his clients across the country in keeping the analysis together, working with the business community, having me engage them or through the EDC to engage to gather data. You know, if it was Microsoft or Border States or Ike Bailey or Case or Bobcat or whoever it was, NDSU, Sanford, all of those corporate folks, to just keep gathering data on what has changed, what are your needs, so that we can present timely information to the airlines. So a few years ago, a number of Mark's former employees or employees at that time went off and created their own air service consulting company called Valair Aviation. And one of the primary contacts that we had as Mark grew his business was Michael Lum. Mike is a former American Airlines employee that still lives in Dallas. He is also really familiar with this market. So there are firms out there that do it. There's Boyd, there's Mead & Hunt, there's Valair, there's Allion, there's a whole bunch of different consultants that are out there, but Mike is the one that is most familiar with our market here. And we do need data now for things, to create monthly schedules through the OAG process that our tenants use and others for planning purposes. TSA uses for planning purposes, and we don't have that data stream right now. So I think on an interim basis, I'd like to engage Valair. You know, we're paying Mark quarterly. It was like $2,500 a month, and there was about $2,700. I'm sorry, a quarter, $2,700 a quarter, well within our guidelines to provide that data that we need so that we can analyze and move forward. Mark's contract was a no-risk contract. He didn't get paid unless he produced. Outside of the data reports that we received or the state of North Dakota received, then obviously he was owed. If we traveled to a headquarters visit with an airline or to a speed dating conference to meet with airlines, we would reimburse him for his expenses for the reports and or his travel time and so forth. That was really the only expense we had. Once service was attained, new service, for instance, right now, Mark qualifies for $2 per passenger for any new service that would be set. So what's qualifying right now is the Nashville service on Allegiant, and our Phoenix service on American would still qualify. It was up to a maximum of $80,000 or 2 years. I forget what the exact terminology in there, whichever was less in terms of there. So he may not gain the full $80,000 if he timed out on the route. So in working with Mark's brother, Curtis, they're trying to get their arms around his business and what was going on, and we're still assuming that we're going to owe these amounts contractually to an estate or something at some point, so we're keeping track along with his other clients, so that if through their legal assistance that they're getting or some other assistance through the business world, they can try and recreate, look through the contracts and see what is owed to him or his heirs, I guess, from that standpoint. The Phoenix service ends here in April, Darren, does that sound right? And of course Nashville is ongoing, so, but you know, it isn't a lot of money that's being spent there on that. So that's how his services work. I think Valair operates very similar. You can also engage some of these on a case-by-case basis. Okay, go out and do a study, you know, for XYZ Airlines to fly to some location. You can do a one-on-one engagement, and that can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 depending on how extensive that you go into it. But we do still have an open grant with the Department of Transportation that between the Airport Authority, Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC, and the Fargo-Moorhead Convention and Visitors Bureau is about an $825,000 grant that's out there. $500,000 federal and the rest is local. It's a revenue guarantee for an airline to come in and provide service, number one, to Seattle, and we continue to work with Alaska on doing that. And you need that analyst, that consultant, kind of at your beck and call to make sure that data is readily available to be engaged in. That's where Mr. Lum can fill in, I believe, on the interim to do that for us as we continue to work with Alaska and Microsoft and others on the potential of getting Seattle service at some point in the not too distant future. CARES obviously, COVID has thrown a wrench into that plan, but they are adding new service each day. Southwest surprised a bunch of cities yesterday with new service announcements, and Alaska's kind of doing the same out on the Montanas and other locations on the West Coast, providing new service as well. So with that, I'll be contacting Mike and getting some information from him and his company on what their services would entail going forward.
Okay. Are you going to take bids for that?
Pardon?
Are you going to do this as a short-term,
It's going to be well under 15, so if you just follow the professional services, the policy there, yeah.
okay.
We aren't going to engage anything over 15. It's going to
Okay.
be a report here or there. I'll get more information from Mike on what their services would. We can put it out to bid, but I'm the one, along with this board, has to have the confidence in the person or firm that you hire. Lum is where I have my confidence right now.
Okay.
So, Sean, is this a continuing, is this a month-by-month contract, or what are we doing?
Well, I'm going to get more of that information from you on what the options are with this company. Like Mark had a 2-year contract. If I didn't bring his file in here, so we were obligated to him for. I'll get the exact date. I didn't bring that file in with me, so it can be a variety of things, John. It can be a month-to-month. It could be a quarterly. It can be an annual. It could be a multi-year contract. There's all kinds of options. But it's getting access to the quarterly data that we're looking at that I send out to all of you. Once the DOT downloads the data, you get the previous year from the quarter as far as how your market's doing in terms of revenue and passengers. They have access to that. We don't.
John, I understand all your data there. Are we still operating under an existing contract we had with the gentleman who passed away? Or
That's
are we
correct.
having a new
Yes,
contract?
yes, we are.
I'm just not clear what.
Yeah, we're operating under that existing contract, and we're going to follow our payment obligations through that contract in anticipation that.
They have the capability, in your opinion, to provide the services without this key individual.
No, they do not. He's the only employee, with the exception of someone that was checking his office in Eugene, Oregon when he was out of town, and maybe did some
Okay,
billing.
so who's going to provide this? Who are we paying to provide this service?
We were paying Mark Sixel. We were. And we'll continue to pay Mark Sixel or his estate once they get their.
I'm not following you there.
So we had services, airline services that were brought about because of the data that he gave us for the, was it Allegiant run? Is that what it was?
For all of them.
For all of them?
Any run that we have.
We have contractual obligations that we have to maintain based on the information that he gave us before, the services that we benefit from, and they're still in progress. And when those.
Okay, so he has earned income under the existing contract. What are we doing going forward?
What are we doing going forward? Okay, what I'm looking at doing is engaging Mike Lum, his former employee that's very familiar with the market. Mike has been to Fargo a number of times, to pick up where Mark left off on an interim basis. But I will also get a proposal from them for what their services are going to look like. What are the options that they can provide to us that Mark was doing for us?
Okay, and you're saying this total contract is under 10,000, so it becomes.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm confident that the quarterly reports that they're going to send aren't going to be any more than what Mark was changing, but I don't have that data, John. That's why I'm saying I'm going to go out and get the information and bring it back to you so that you can see what the options are with their company on an interim basis. If you want to go out for proposals for air service and development, there's all kinds of options that you can do there. You can retain someone for 2 years, 3 years. You can retain someone just on a case-by-case basis to go after a particular airline or a particular market. All of the air service consultants are going to have access to the same DOT data. It's just the format that they present that to their clients in terms of revenue and passenger counts on a year-over-year basis. But they provide that on a quarterly basis. So for instance, calendar year 2020 data for the entire calendar year probably won't be released to.
John, I don't think we need to get into the specifics of the data, but we're dealing with what we have to figure out how to go forward. So we have earned income back from the existing contract with them in the past way. We have need for data going forward on an emergency basis, given the death of the provider. And so, are you asking for emergency approval for 6 months, hire somebody on an emergency basis and then go out with request for proposals, or what are we asking?
John, I think he's already stated, he just stated that over the last 10 minutes that, and maybe you just couldn't hear it as well as we do here, but that he's gonna bring the information back to us for the next meeting for how much it would cost on a temporary basis from another firm that is very well established and respected, and then we will decide at that point. Is that correct, John?
That's correct.
Yep. So
Okay.
nothing needs to be decided today. But I know that we
Right.
probably want to take this out for bids for any long-term contracts, right?
Potentially.
Potentially.
It all depends.
Okay.
It may fall within the purchasing guidelines where you don't have to do that.
Okay.
There's flexibility here, so,
Mhm.
Okay.
you know, I'm not gonna go out and retain a firm and a relationship with somebody that has no experience in this market, or I'd have zero confidence in it.
Correct.
If I don't have confidence in the person I'm working with, I'm not, it's
John,
not gonna happen.
John, your board makes those decisions, not you individually.
I understand
And
that.
I think you need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Last item on the agenda here, so we're gonna do this today, right? Okay,
I don't
so
care.
whatever you wanna do. From the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission for immediate release, the Hector International Airport is awarded the 2020 Commercial Service Airport of the Year
Yay.
award. There is a plaque, and it says Fargo Hector International Airport has received the 2020 Commercial Service Airport of the Year award. The award is for excellence in maintaining safety, project management, community outreach, and is sponsored by the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission in partnership with the Airport Association of North Dakota. So, anyway, thank you everyone who had a hand in making this happen, and look forward to having many more of these in the future.
It won't be
Congratulations.
officially
Congratulations.
announced until tomorrow, so.
Okay,
It's not
congratulations.
official
All right.
until tomorrow. So, okay. So last piece of business that we have to do today is we have a little bit of executive session that we have to talk about. So I will. We have to enter a motion to go into executive session, right?
Correct.
I'll read the statement here real fast. Municipal Airport Authority of the City of Fargo, North Dakota will meet in executive session to receive an update regarding ongoing discussions between designated representatives of the Airport Authority and the city as those relate to the relationships between the two political subdivisions, including the amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding signed by both parties in January of 2020. These discussions have financial implications, and in open meeting of these discussions, strategies, and directions by the chairman and or the authority's attorney would create an adverse financial effect on the bargaining position of the authority. Executive session has been authorized pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19, number 9. So at this point, I would like a motion to go into executive session.
So, second.
I got a motion and a second. Very good. We will do that. So, roll call vote for the executive session.
Haugen. Cosgrove.
Aye.
Hangan.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Lind.
All right. Very good. All right, we're in executive session. Thank you very much. We will return out of executive session to adjourn the meeting. What do you have to say? Recording again? Okay, our executive session is adjourned. We will reconvene in the normal session. The agreement in the executive session was to continue to give Stacy and Sean the authority to continue to negotiate with the city, and that is all we came up with. So So,
Motion to
any
adjourn.
other further business? Yes, sir?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Any other
Second.
further business that we want to do before that? Okay, very good. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. And I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.